Hi, it's Blue Fairy and
Cosvak.
we just went to go see the opening night of Avengers: Age of Ultron, directed by Joss Whedon.
Everybody loves him.
Oh my God, everyone loves him.
He's such a dream boy. I have figurines and a statue and so many posters that I wish he signed that I just scribbled myself. About that. There's shrine in the closet.
Okay. In the closet?
Yeah, it's made out of like discarded copies of Cabin in the Woods. Kidding, nobody would throw that movie away. It's beautiful.
Okay. So, oh God, this is such a big movie. So much happens in this movie, except like nothing happens in this movie. For the first of all, it's 2.5 hours long, and well, it's more like 2:16 because the credits are forever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so there's like a lot of action. If you like the first Avengers, if you like the Marvel Universe, which I hope you do, up here, then you'll definitely like this movie. I think this is a way better film than the first film, though, because we have had all these other interconnected films, so it's not just superheroes coming out of their worlds put into this weird world. It's about all these backstories coming together. All these side characters are shown in the movie. I thought it was better.
Yeah, this phase of the Marvel Cinematic Universe is coming together pretty well. I mean, Ant-Man still confuses the crap out of me because who gives a damn about Ant-Man? But
I think it's going to be good, actually. I have high hopes for Ant-Man.
you just think it's going to be good because Paul Rudd's going to be in it.
That's not the only reason.
Explain yourself.
No, we're not. This is not this. No.
Okay.
We're not talking about Ant-Man.
Okay.
Although,
We'll talk about Ant-Man later.
Ant-Man with the Avengers, can you imagine how...
Alright, Ant-Man,
Okay.
we gotta fight these giant robots. The guy gets small.
The whole movie, basically, Hawkeye is like, so I know I'm not, it makes no sense for me to be here. But I'm here, and here's, like, all my backstory, and I'm a human, and I'm a person, and I matter. Can you imagine trying to personify and give character and backstory to Ant-Man? Like...
He gets small, and he fights other small things, and he rides insects.
Like, what would he... Anyway. So the plot of the movie is pretty much, I think, one of its biggest detractors. You know, it has all of these interconnected universes, but the villain of the movie is... It's the Avengers' fault. It's the Avengers' fault. No, more importantly, it's Tony Stark's fault.
Yeah, it's kind of his fault.
It's totally his fault, because he and Bruce Banner, after, like, getting back Loki's...
The scepter.
Staff. Oh, it's scepter, that's right. There's so many words for stick. And and they form an artificial intelligence because they figure out they can do it. Which, even if you're just messing with artificial intelligence, shouldn't you, like, maybe talk to other people about it before you go into the lab and be like, yeah, we're going to create this network that makes peace possible? And I would say that the plot revolves around a villain that the Avengers... No, Tony Stark and Bruce Banner create. And then they spend the rest of the movie fighting it, which would be fine, but there's, like... There's no accountability in this movie for anything. Everything gets broken or screwed up, and there's no accountability at all. Like, there's like, ooh, you screwed us over. But it's really frustrating because it's just like, oh yeah, I created this artificial intelligence that's turned evil in like 2 seconds. And basically, it wants to create peace, but by doing so, it wants to get rid of humans and the Avengers, and it's sentient, and all this good stuff. But he won't apologize for it, even though he created something that's, like, more powerful than all of them.
I mean, technically, it's still trying to create human peace. I mean, you remember that episode of X-Files where Mulder, like, found, like, a genie, and he had, like, 3 wishes? Yeah!
No way.
This is an episode of X-Files.
No.
He found a genie, and he asked for world peace.
They found a genie?
Yeah.
That
and he asked for world peace,
stupid.
and everybody died except him. And then he had to wish everybody back, because the only way you could have world peace is if humans were dead. and everything was dead.
Oh, spoiler alert on that X-Files episode that everyone was gonna watch.
It's a good episode.
It's a good episode. Genie?
Yeah, it's a genie.
Seriously, spoilers though. I wanted to see that.
If you haven't seen it yet, you're not gonna...
There's new X-Files. Don't even worry about it.
Yeah. So anyway, Tony Stark being a dick.
I just don't get how more people are pissed at him. It's like all of the Avengers are like, yeah, we're mad at you, but...
And
whatever. And
Bruce
then they
Banner's,
go fight him.
Bruce Banner's like, oh, yeah, I'd help too.
Yeah, Bruce Banner takes, like, no accountability. Tony Stark's like, I'm not gonna apologize, blah, blah, blah. But Bruce Banner just straight up is like, I helped a little bit. Also, there's this part where they get this machine that Ultron has created, and, you know, it's Stark pretty much screwing over the Avengers again, and the Banner is helping again. Does Banner take any credit for it? No! Banner's like... He's like an abused child. Like, he won't go up against Stark ever.
Well, he's
And
got
he's
this big
the Hulk.
green guy at him, you know, and he's always beating him around.
You would think that would...
I mean, come on. The guy made him
It's just-
swallow the bullet once, and he spat it back out. Well, they kind of been building up to this whole Tony Stark thing, like wanting to make Ultron. Ultron is originally like a program that he wants to make all of these like Iron Man robot things to protect the world from
Right,
another
that's
invasion.
in Iron Man 3, but then he just makes it. Like, it literally takes them a day.
3 days. They say 3 days in the thing.
It's like a day.
3 days.
They say it's a day.
3 days.
3 days, but
3 days.
It's a day.
It's 3 days.
It's one day.
Well,
It's so obvious.
Well, they've been
Day.
doing the study on it for so long, and then they find...
I guess, but unless you've seen all the other Avengers movies and you understand the characters and also you suspend disbelief that much, sure, it makes sense. But still, it's like, how do you rush something in a 2.5-hour movie? You need pacing. That was something that needed to be paced better. Maybe cut out some of the other stuff that need not happen, like the 15-minute Hulk versus Super Iron Man battle. Maybe cut a little of that out so we can pace something better.
They needed to get to the action and make their main villain. I mean, maybe putting in like a time-lapse montage.
What if
in
they
there?
had created Ultron at the end of the last, like, Captain America movie? Or the Thor movie? You know, maybe just like... I know that doesn't make sense because they're not related to the Iron Man, you know...
I think this is because they were trying to hype up Quicksilver.
Oh, we have to talk about the twins.
Oh, that shit's weird.
Oh my god. Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, who are Russian twins?
Yeah, something like that.
We're sorry.
Let's say Eastern European.
We'll say Eastern European, but I think it's Russian. The accents sound Russian, but she's Scarlet Witch. That's very, you know, red.
Yeah, this is gonna be really confusing.
It's really confusing. I personally like X-Men Days of Future Past one better because his powers, you know, they're not... I don't want to, like, denigrate being really quick, but, I mean, it's not as cool as, like, Iron Man or Thor or even the Hulk. So, to have a really airtight, awesome personality is kind of needed. And X-Men, he was quirky and cocky and fun.
Mm-hmm.
And in this one, he has, like, no personality.
Yeah, those two were really boring.
They were so boring. They didn't even...
They're like Tony Stark.
They built them both up.
Yeah, they built him up
Ton.
hardcore.
Like in the ending of Captain America Winter Soldier.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, I'm so excited. Oh, God, this is going to be so cool. And they're so lame. They're so lame. They have no personalities. They have a vendetta, and that's it. Like,
Yep.
That's the only thing we know about them.
And they're easily
They're
manipulated.
orphans. Yeah, they're so quickly manipulated. Oh, they're doing experiments on them. That's all we know, too. Like, the villains who control them aren't even interesting. No one is interesting. Ultron's kind of interesting, but he's cliched. The twins are the worst. Like, there's not even, like, an incestuous vibe that would make it, like, at least weird. Like, none of that. It's just they're boring.
Yeah. A little boring. That was a weird, like, they're, like, checking up on each other, and they grabbed each other really weird. And I think Quicksilver was almost about to grab Scarlet's boob almost.
No.
Yeah, just like a side pat.
Well, you know that they played married couple in Godzilla last summer.
No,
Isn't that gross? They played married couple and now they're playing twins. Oh, maybe that's where I got that incestuous vibe from. But at least that would make sense, you know, the closeness. They're close, kind of, but it's like they're. Yeah. What's really, I think, what makes them lame is that they don't have a lot of power. Like, they're pawns, always.
Yeah.
They were pawns for, like, the people who did experiments on them, Ultron. They help the Avengers, but they do almost nothing. Like, Scarlet Witch, kinda.
She gets
pissed.
And does super rage. And then kills a lot of robots.
But she doesn't save the day. She doesn't help a ton.
No.
Oh, God, they were so underwhelming. It was so boring.
Yeah, that if you're waiting for a big build-up for those two, that's not there.
That's not going to happen. You're going to be so sad.
And now it's going to be even weirder to try to merge the X-Men universe with the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
They're not going to do that.
I don't think they are.
No, they're not, because they're owned by different companies. I was really pissed that at one point in the film, Black Widow gets kidnapped. And I just was so pissed. Because she's the only woman in the Avengers, unless you're counting, you know, Scarlet Witch later on. But she's the only woman. She's very self-possessed, and yet she gets kidnapped. And it doesn't even lead to anything. Like, she gets kidnapped, and then they lock her up, and then she gets saved. Like, the next day.
Yeah.
And there's, like, no guards or anything. Like, oh, they left her here. What was the point of that? To lure them in?
I think it was to make that really cool scene where Ultron's like, well, it doesn't kill you, and then he kills his former body that he had, that he was building a big one.
Okay.
Only makes you stronger! And then that's really what they use that for. To do the thing where she used Morse code over the radio waves to contact them.
Yeah. Everything that happens that's random in this movie is only for plot. Nick Fury shows up. Is he needed? No, but it helps us, like, show Stark's interiority. And just a bunch of shit happened. Like, her getting kidnapped doesn't really need to happen, but it shows her relationship with the Hulk. All these things keep happening that don't need to happen, just so we can have, like, interiority or plot device. And it's just really annoying because they don't go anywhere. Like,
I feel like they really tried to shoehorn that whole Black Widow Hulk relationship down our throats, like, really fast.
Did you even see that coming?
No, they haven't even been building up to that.
They haven't even been on screen together, like, alone. I don't think.
Except for that one time in this first Avengers where the Hulk tried to kill her. That's about it.
Yeah, that was hot.
Yeah.
Ooh, the sexual tension.
I feel like if they really wanted to flesh that out, they should have just had another, like, Hulk movie. Even though they have Hulk Wars.
What's that?
It's where, in the comic books, he, like, goes to space and he fights people in space.
That doesn't count.
Well, that's a movie that's good. No, that's a movie that's gonna happen. I don't know. They're gonna have the whole, like, him being in space and shit like that.
Well, yeah, a lot of movies are gonna happen, but they haven't happened yet.
Or maybe, just have, Black Widow have her own damn movie. I mean, they did a great job of trying to interweave.
I made a list on this. I made a list. They need to make it. They've also been talking about Wonder Woman movie. They've been talking about Ms. Marvel. They've been talking about a lot of different movies. They're not being made, though.
Yeah.
Pissing me off.
I mean, this movie does a good job trying to interweave all the other movies together.
I think it did a great job of interweaving. Even with the shoehorning and the stupid plot devices, there was a lot of characters brought in and a lot of, like, reference to other movies that made this movie that much better. I think also Captain America Winter Soldier was a great, like, in-betweener movie. Because it brought new things to the Captain America films while also building up to the Avengers films, while also being its own kind of cool action film, especially since it, like, dealt with the demise of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I mean, all those movies leave loose ends for those own characters, which kind of gives them an incentive to all kind of disband.
Yeah. Yeah, the ending.
Well, they always disband at the end of the movie, so that's not really a spoiler.
Yeah, but this feels different. They're making another one, so I wouldn't. I'm not going to tell you what the ending is, but I wouldn't take it at face value because they're making another one.
It really depends on what they do with Civil War, because that's a really big thing that happened in the Marvel Universe with everybody.
Yeah, but we're not looking exclusively at the comics because everybody's backstory varies from the comics.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I wanna reference them, but looking at the cinematic universe, you have to know everything about that. You can know about the comics too, but if you do, it might just make you angry if you watch.
I mean, it's not gonna make you angry like, oh my god, I read Wolverine Origins and then I went and saw the movie and Jesus fucking Christ, that was such a piece of shit. I'm going to kill somebody.
You won't be that angry seeing this film because it's doing interesting things.
Mm-hmm.
I think though, yeah, it's just those things really make us angry. The twins, the plot devices, just were so annoying. All of this like stuff got ruined. All this stuff, and there was just no accountability. Oh, Bruce Banner might get arrested for this thing, and then nothing came of that. All this stuff happens, and nothing happens. There's no accountability for anybody. S.H.I.E.L.D. doesn't exist anymore. There's no...
Well, you kind of get
nothing.
You kind of get like told in the beginning of the movie that like Tony Stark is paying all the bills, and he has that one throwaway line where he's like, "What about the Stark Relief initiative?" And they're like, "Already on their way." And it's like, oh, that's how they must avoid shit.
I think that's always how he's avoided shit. That's what the whole first movie was about. The first Iron Man. It just made me really... I was just like, all this stuff is getting broken. They kind of reference it in the beginning because they have these bots that Stark pretty much has designed and work through him that keep people from being around the violence. So that was very self-aware. But then they don't reference that ever again. And
that's because all those bots got destroyed at the beginning of the movie.
You mean they didn't all get destroyed?
Yeah, they did.
No, remember? Because they flew into the A. They didn't get destroyed.
They flew into the A. And then Ultron took over their bodies. And then they destroyed all those robots when they were trying to kill everybody at the party at the beginning of the movie.
So 5 bots are the only thing keeping hundreds of people away from getting hit by a train derailment, a building collapse, a village getting smashed into the ground. All of these things happen, but it's so much worse because of the 5 to 6 to 7 bots who get destroyed, by the way, really easily. So I very much doubt that that's their last line of defense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they had a frickin' space station just for one of them. You know?
And well, that was for a special suit to keep the Hulk in check. That's how they launched the Hulkbuster suit from a satellite in space.
Yeah. So they have other stuff, but they keep breaking stuff, and nobody gets mad at them. There's public outcry, there's graffiti, but the news is like, oh, so they broke a city.
So anyway, they touched on the whole, like, people are getting pissed at the Avengers and these superheroes, like, destroying shit.
Kinda.
And...
Yeah. But, I mean, I know that they can't do everything in 2.5 hours. They can't do everything in the time that they have. But what they do with the time they have just feels irresponsible sometimes.
Well, I feel like that little bit is to touch on Civil War, because the main reason the Civil War happens in the books is because there's a public outcry to have all the superheroes' identities put into a special database that the government's doing, and like half the Marvel universe is like that. No, fuck off. And
well, if that's what they're building to, this giant Civil War, they're not doing it very well in this film. I
feel like they're still kind of fleshing that out.
They're so far away from fleshing that out.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's what you're saying.
That's
like,
a few movies away.
This makes sense because of this. But I just didn't get that. Like, tonally.
Mm-hmm.
I did not get
That's because they only show that aspect for, like, what, 3 seconds?
Yeah, everything that's, like, important to the plot happens in 2 seconds. And everything else that happens is Hulk punching trees. Hulk punching buildings. Hulk punching...
Hulk gets his one funny punch. And then
the whole movie's funny. It's all funny.
It's a funny movie.
Of course, because Wing wrote it. So, of course, it's funny.
I mean, after all of that, like, those nitpicks and stuff like that, I was going...
Nitpicks?
There's...
The whole plot was like a mangled mess. You don't... Okay, you don't see it that way? You still enjoyed it? Even though...
I still enjoyed it because I didn't really expect... like, a lot, yeah.
But it's an Avengers movie. Go.
Okay, so it's an Avengers movie, yeah. And I mean, have any of the Marvel movies been like that well written? They're fun, and they're like good movies. They're not like thinking movies.
Some of them are. I'm thinking.
Think hard.
I think the Thor movies are stupid, but in a thought out, precise, concise way. They get their point across, they have good action, and they don't have plot holes. And they have Loki as a villain.
Mm-hmm.
And Winter Soldier was actually a really smart, really well put together film that bridged the gap between the other films in the universe and the new Avengers film. I thought that was a really smart film, and I didn't really have any major problems with it.
Well, they really had to make up for the first Captain America movie.
The first Captain America was the worst.
It's fucking horrible.
I'm sorry, but...
That is bad.
No.
It's
just bad. I thought, this film, though, was a step up from the first Avengers film. I'm not going to lie. I thought the first Avengers film was a little slapdasheried. I thought they didn't really meld the personalities well. And in this film, they're more of a team, so it's more entertaining. And we have all the backstories from all these other films, so it's more entertaining. The plot things, I don't think they're nitpicks. I think every person going in is going to be like, well, this is really stupid, or this makes no sense. It still entertains.
Mm-hmm. It still entertains greatly.
It just doesn't have the wow factor. Like, besides the fights. I think the action in this film is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But you'll have to turn your brain off completely. And I'm not a person who can do that, to be honest. Like, I can enjoy something and keep my brain on, but this is not one of those times. I'd give it, like, if I had to give it stars, it would be probably a 4 out of 5. And I know you don't have a system, but that's where I'm
going to
at.
give it 7 baked potatoes out of 10.
That's huge.
Mm-hmm.
That's big.
It's still a fun movie. It's entertaining. It has some good writing in it.
Well, technically, if it's 7 out of 10, you just gave it 10% less than I gave it.
Yeah.
Math's not important.
No.
No.
My
what's
rating
important?
system's out
Avengers.
of potatoes.
It's out of potatoes. Mine's out of jelly beans.
That's delicious. So yeah, Avengers movie, like...
So yeah, if you like the first one, if you like the Marvel Universe, you will not be disappointed, but...
If you want...
But if you're a nitpicker, beware.
Yeah, don't... If you haven't seen any of the other movies, don't go.
Who's doing that?
I don't know. Maybe, like, 2-year-olds? 2-year-olds should see this movie.
What are you even doing
Catch
out?
up! Come on! What are you...
Come on, man!
You peeing yourselves every day?
What do you have to do?
Yeah, seriously, you don't got no job.
You have free time up the wazoo.
Watch all
these movies. God.
Just
kids these days.
I know, seriously.
Okay, so see you later.
Oh, bye.
Bye.